Welcome, this is David Decker from Germany, also known as DECKERWEB on Twitter and on places on the web. I just want to introduce you to my newest plugin creation for Genesis framework. The plugin is called Genesis Prose Extras. This is for the Prose Child Theme for Genesis, and I just want to go with you to the settings pages and explain a little bit what it can do, what can be done with it, and okay, let's go. We just activate the plugin. You can search for it in the WordPress backend, Genesis Prose Extras, search plugins. It's already installed, we just have to activate it. I'm already here on a multi-site, so let's go. Okay, if you installed and activated the plugin, just go to your site with the Genesis, and in the left hand Genesis menu in WordPress admin you'll find a new menu entry which is called Prose Extras, and the full title Genesis Prose Extras. It has the same look and feel as the Genesis settings pages because it uses the Genesis API, so it's all Genesis standard behavior. You have various meta boxes, a home template. This is for the widgetized home page that the plugin brings to the Prose Child Theme finally. You can enable various widget areas or sidebar areas, call it what you want. I have created a home top widget area which is the full width content based on the layout you choose, and you can optionally also enable home left and home right to have a 2-column layout, fully responsive all of course. You can also, if you want, enable an extra sidebar for the home page. This will replace the primary sidebar on home. This is just optional. You can also disable the footer widgets. These are the footer widgets that come by default with Genesis. If you do not want this on home page, just disable here. For a lot of use cases you only want this on other pages but not on home. And here you can also choose a layout setting for this special home page section. And then we go on to the navigation menus. Another meta box, Genesis Prose or the Prose Child Theme has already 2 navigation menus, and they are placed primary, header, secondary, and I've included up to 5 other options to position them. You can reverse the default behavior with secondary, header, primary. You can add both below the header, primary, secondary, or both doubled above the header, primary, secondary, header, or these both options are for placing primary or secondary navigation on top before the header, outside of the wrap section. This will give you the possibility to make, if you want, fixed menu, or just for special use cases. This may require special CSS styling if you want, but you may experiment with that. I've also included menu descriptions. I'll show you later on what that means. This is a default feature from WordPress core, and it's always usable if the team supports that. and my plugin just brings support for this WordPress feature to Prose Child Theme, which I think is a very cool feature and can use in various situations. And I added a feature to the plugin which I'm very proud of. These are additional layout options. The first one is sidebars below content. Next is content and sidebar alternate or sidebar secondary. And the third one is sidebar alternate or secondary and content. Think of these layouts as alternative flavors of existing Genesis layout options. The sidebar below content is another flavor of full width content. It uses also full width, but it places the two existing Genesis sidebars, primary and secondary, just below the content. Fully responsive, of course. The primary comes first in the source code, then the secondary, but primary is placed on the right, secondary on the left. And the content and sidebar secondary flavors just use the secondary sidebar instead of the primary. This could be very useful for various use cases where you want to switch between primary and secondary sidebar. These three layouts also register on Genesis settings and on in-post settings. Then Prose already comes with this after post widget area for single posts. This is of course enabled by default in Prose, so it's also enabled in my plugin, but you can disable it if you want. If you do not want that for single post, just disable it here and uncheck. But maybe you want it activate for pages, for single pages, so I've included the new feature here to disable it. Here you see a special meta box which is already only visible for super administrators, super admins, and this allows for adding special per site function files. Because I am in a multi-site here, this is a very cool feature. If you want to use Prose Child Theme in a multi-site install, maybe you have 10 sites and 5 of them use the Prose Child Theme. The Prose Child Theme is auto-updated feature by StudioPress, so you cannot touch it, but you maybe want for these 5 subsites in multi-site to have various functions, and these functions require earlier hook in as the custom PHP section in Prose. So then this feature comes in. This is a very cool feature only intended for developers, for webmasters and super administrators. So if you do not do anything with code, this is not for you and you won't see it. This is just for super admins. This last meta box is just for information about the export import feature. And we've just missed a meta box here for translation that goes in between here, but I am on an English regular install, English language of WordPress, so this box shows not up. But if I would be on a German install, I would see this box and can adjust the translation loading if it loads for formal or informal German translations. So we just go to the export import feature of Genesis, just to show you what I've done. These are the Genesis core theme settings, the Genesis core SEO settings. This is all Genesis default. This design settings is Prose Child Theme default, which comes with Prose. And the last two are added by my plugin. the Prose custom code and CSS section that comes with Prose I finally added to the exporter feature of Genesis, and of course the plugin's own settings are hooked in as well. You can export all of that, or just those last two, or just those, just as you want. This uses the fully Genesis APIs, so it's really a robust feature. So let's show the Genesis theme settings. Just to show you where the layouts hook in. You have then 9 layouts to choose from. Very cool. So then we look at the Prose design settings. Here I've done nothing. I only or except for the info for administrators, just a little bit of stuff. And the same goes on for the custom code section. This is by default with Prose version 1.5 or above. What I've done here, I've added the monospace font to the code sections. It's just more readable, pleasure for the eye, and you can work better with it because it's better organized of the font type and such. So this is a little bit only, and I've added another meta box for information for administrators. So let's go into the widget area of WordPress, the widget admin section, and here you see all the widget areas that are added by my plugin Genesis Prose Extras, and which are currently activated in on the plugin settings pages. Let's just resave our plugin settings and add also the home extra sidebar. So let's save our settings. This was successful, saved. So let's go back to widgets and reload this stuff here. And you see that are now 5 sections here. So you see I have already a bit of stuff in there. We currently have nothing in the extra home sidebar sections, and the section is active, but it will not show on the front end because we have no active widgets here. This is another logic that is into the plugin to only show stuff where active widgets are placed in, and the Prose after section for after page, which is also by the plugin. So this is only to show you what's added on the default of Prose. Just look at the bottom on the right side in widget admin. So let's go to our post sections, the blog posts, or whatever you use them for or call them. I have here a post hello world, pretty standard demo content, and you already see here our 3 additional layouts from the plugin already hooked in, like all the other stuff. You can use them, and I've already activated one of this for this post, and this is a special feature only for single pages and single posts. This is custom CSS for the in-post meta screen, in-post meta screen admin, and this is for adding very little CSS tweaks, CSS fixes, or very special editions which are not long, just short stuff. And this applies only to this unique item, which is currently titled hello world, and this is just this post. Same feature goes for single pages, and you will also see this meta box, and developers can activate it for other post types as well. Pretty nice feature. This is especially useful if you have maybe 20 posts and 2 posts need special styling because this is a special promotion that you are running. Maybe a single page which has a landing page layout, and you can just add another background color or a bigger font face or whatever you want, and this is really handy, and you do not have to touch the Genesis the Prose custom CSS section, which is global. You can just use this custom CSS only for that single page or that single post, and this is the difference. The CSS is enqueued correctly in the header. It's directly placed in the header, but it's minified. So I recommend to use this feature by decisions. Just think about if you really need it for a post, and when you need it, add just a little bit and you will be very happy. So you've seen that one, and now we go to the navigation menus and I show you what you can do here. Just loading a little bit. Okay, so here you see I've done nothing here, but you can use that one for the menu description. This little box here, by default Prose doesn't support this box here, the content of that box. You have to already also check if it's activated. Go on top right corner, screen option. Is description activated? Yes, it is. Then you will see this box here, and I've added a little description here, super main navigation menu, or on the sample page I added an example. Because my plugin supports this feature, it will show on the front end, so be careful what you've entered here. But I guess it's a really cool feature for a lot of use cases. Makes really sense. So this was mostly the back end. One thing I want to show you still, this is the warning. If you still want to go in the theme editor, you never should use this theme editor, but if you are tempted to, don't do it for the Prose Child Theme. Don't do it, because it will all be overwritten on auto update. So never do it with Prose and never do it with Genesis Core. And I have just placed a big red warning on the top, and this also explains where to put custom CSS in the global Prose custom CSS or in my plugin in post CSS, and functions go into custom PHP section of Prose. So just a reminder what to do. So we've seen the settings and all the other stuff of the plugin, so just have a tiny look at the front end now. This is a little demo page I have installed. I've only installed Prose Child Theme, added a little content and activated my plugin. No other tweaks here. As you can see, I've shown the menu description on the front end. This is a smaller font face, smaller font size, and it's fully in the navigation element, in the navigation menu item. The description is added, so for me it's a good feature. Maybe you will love it too. And what I've done here, this is the home, the widgetized home top section, and I've placed in the Prose, the Genesis, not the Prose, the Genesis responsive slider, a free plugin by WordPress for Genesis child themes, and now you finally can use it with the Prose Child Theme on the front page, on the home page. I've only added CSS to make these buttons within the slide and not outside of the slide, so this is the only CSS fix I've done. All other is pretty standard by the plugin and by the child theme. And what I've added in my other plugin widget areas, this is Prose Home Left, this is Prose Home Right, and I've added various instances of the Genesis featured post widget, and with only a few minutes I have a widgetized homepage of Prose, and I have a little bit of a magazine style, a grid style, and I've did nothing with code, I've did nothing with function or whatever. I just activated the plugin Genesis Prose Extras, made a few settings, placed in a few widgets, and I've done. And to show you my layout option, this for this homepage now I've activated the layout option content below sidebars. Sorry, I mixed it up. Sidebars below content, of course. Sidebar secondary, sidebar primary. This comes first in the source code. This comes second in the source code, but primary is placed on left and secondary is placed on right. I've used it that way because here I'm faster with the mouse, and I thought this was the best way of doing that. It's all fully responsive, of course. So that was my little overview of Genesis Prose Extras. I hope this was helpful for you. Sorry about my English, I'm still learning that language. I'm not a native speaker, I'm German, but I hope you've got it still, and thanks for watching. David from Germany.